Hey Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to my Venus series. So in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the self-worth of Venus in Virgo, and also this video can resonate if you have Virgo ruling the second house. Now before we do get started, if you would like to know more information about the Venus signs, the Venus houses, your Taurus house and the second house, amongst other things within the Taurus season realm, then I have created a Taurus season / archetype ebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to that ebook in the description box below so that you can pick up your copy today. So with all of those introductions out of the way, Venus in Virgo / Virgo ruling the second house, let's do this. Alright, so firstly, let's begin by describing the second house within astrology. Now, the second house, it can provide us with an indication into how our identity and security is formed based upon the things that we attach ourselves to, whether that be money, materials, people, or our belief systems and so on. It's the second house that can be viewed as representing the time in our lives or the stage in our lives by which we become more consciously aware of our bodies. And according to Howard Sespertaz, from around 6 months old, we start to recognize that we have a body, but there's also research to suggest that we start to become more self-aware from around 18 months old. Therefore, it is from the second house that we start to build upon who we are based upon the material world and how we really reflect on the material world. So you could say that the products or the items or the possessions that you own are a reflection of yourself in that way, because they can reflect things about you. So for example, your items and materials might reflect your style, they might reflect your fashion, your taste, your likes, your dislikes, all of these very Phoenician things. But they can also reflect other things. So they can reflect your financial situation, and they can also reflect your skills and your talents. So for example, if you were to purchase a $15 shirt over a $50 shirt, then of course that can reflect maybe how much money you're making or spending. But then likewise, when it comes to purchasing that certain shirt, would you really be able to purchase that new shirt if you were not skilled in the job that you work at in order to buy it in the first place? So essentially, it is from the second house that we form our own sense of self-worth and value. So what do you value? Who do you value? Do you value yourself and others? And what do you base your self-worth upon, and why? Therefore, this is really about you going outside of yourself in order to discover what is located within yourself. Alright, so for those of you who have Venus in Virgo or Virgo ruling the second house, which by the way I'm going to refer to yourselves as Virgo throughout this video, well, we notice here, Virgo, that the material world was provided to you with sharp discrimination and precision. So for example, maybe the way money was really budgeted, maybe the way it was managed and organized, well, it was done so by your financial providers in a rather specific way. Or maybe it was that money was managed and distributed in order to really help you and your loved ones survive, but it was just done so in a very shrewd or very picky way. Let's say, for example, right, that your financial providers were handing you and your siblings some money. So you know the way you get pocket money, so maybe you're the type of Virgo who would get pocket money for doing your chores, but the financial providers, they might have been very precise with you as to how you should spend that money that you were given. So you might have really been encouraged by the financial provider to plan ahead when it came to your finances. You might have been encouraged to always just make sure that you can actually afford something before you buy it. Basically, your financial providers could have just been really smart You know, when it comes to finances, they might have been able to think things through more practically, more rationally. Maybe it was more that there was a stronger emphasis being placed upon the quality of something rather than the quantity of something. There could have been a lot of emphasis as well placed upon the usefulness of something. So maybe you're the type of Virgo who may, if you don't see a use for a particular material item that you have, you can be really ruthless at just clearing that away. So when it comes to clear outs that you perform when it comes to your materials and possessions, example, your clothing, you'll get rid of things that you no longer find to be useful or fitting for you. Or when it comes to makeup or fragrances and lotions that might be past their sell by date or their use by date, you will be very good at just, you know, throwing it away and just saying, no, I don't need this, I don't feel like I need this anymore, what's the point, what's the use in this? Or you might just hand it over to a friend who does need it. So maybe it is that you realize that you don't want something, you don't see use for something anymore, you're going to give it to a friend or a loved one who will. However, it's still this very discriminating and precise attitude that can lead you to being rather overly controlling and a bit OCD, where you obsess over things. For example, Virgo, you might have the tendency of sticking your nose into other people's business and spending habits and financial matters. You might provide your much needed but also not asked for Virgo practical advice towards others and how they choose to spend their finances or indulge within the material world. Now, with that being said, I understand that you're only trying to help when you do this, Virgo, and you being of service in this way, it can really help other people and it can enrich their lives as well. However, there is a fine line here, Virgo, between giving from a place of help because you genuinely want to help and giving from a place of help because you ultimately are unknowingly serving yourself. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, you might have in your mind, Virgo, a certain way or a certain routine of how you operate and function your finances, function your own materials. It can just be very precise, right? So we're looking at the financial providers. Things might have been very precise in how it all operated. So you may have this similar sort of mindset. You've been able to form how you want things to plan out. However, whenever another person comes to you, for example, right, and they have the situation involving their finances, involving their own materials, you may push a little bit or be quite demanding with your own thoughts and your own strategies and your own opinions towards that person. So it may just result in you providing some advice that comes across as more critical rather than helpful in the end. Though still, Virgo, whenever you do learn to be more sympathetic and emotionally warm towards others when it comes to these matters, you start to feel a lot stronger in your own sense of self-love and your own self-worth towards yourself as well. However, that's not to say that you should help everyone who asks for your help either, Virgo. See, you might also be a little bit submissive and you may find it difficult to say no to people who ask for your advice and for your help, especially if that person is facing potential financial difficulty, especially if that person is experiencing some sort of loss or they're feeling just a little bit insecure or unworthy. So many people just might turn towards you, Virgo, to confide in, but you as the Virgo, you might be passive about it all and not tell others when you're feeling a little bit drained, when you're feeling low on energy yourself. And so what you got to realize, Virgo, is that it's really important for you to just learn how to set those boundaries in that way. But also you need to make sure that you get plenty of rest as well, Virgo. And besides, if it is that you're giving somebody else advice, so maybe they're going through something and you're saying to them, oh, I think you should take some time for yourself, or you should rest, you should really revitalize your energy a lot. Well, it's also just taking your own advice in that way. And I know it's easier said than done because we all do this. We can all give advice to other people but not take our own advice. So yeah, for you, Virgo, it's really about you taking your own advice in this instance and really just paying attention to your own energy levels, paying attention to whenever you're more being of service because it's almost filling this inadequate void for yourself, but more being able to form a healthy, just a healthy sense of self-worth, where you acknowledge those times whenever you need to take time to yourself, whenever you acknowledge those times when you need to refuel your own batteries. So it's really about you being able to discriminate in a healthy way that is necessary here. For example, right, it's a matter of questioning here, who are the people in your life that you value? Do they build you up, but also do they give you hard truths that you really need to hear? yeah, whenever people in our lives who love us, who are really close to us, and they give us hard truths, those hard truths, yes, they can be difficult to hear, to process, but those hard truths can really be from a place of like strong care and support, and warning someone, for example, if they're going down a really bad path, and just like saying to them outright, I really think that you're going down a bad path. I'm still going to be here to support you and help you out. But it's just being able to communicate that truth to that person, no matter how harsh it might seem, but at the same time trying not to come across as super critical about it. Coming across from, yes, I'm going to support you and help you, but at the same time, these are my limits here, and if you go down this dark path and you try to bring me into that, I'm gonna have to just step back and take myself away from the situation. So being able to communicate these types of things with others is really important here. But you know what, it could even be a matter here, Virgo, of you asking yourself about the people in your life and if they just always take from you. So it could be that you find yourself in these situations or experiences where others are just taking constantly, or the material world just feels like it's taking so much from you as well. It's taking a lot of your energy, like I was saying. So yeah, it's really about questioning the quality of the people that you have in your life, the quality of the materials that you have in your life, and how is it that people and materials can really enrich your life for the better, Virgo? Or is it that you just find yourself continuously just trying to fix people and situations and things because you'd much rather just keep picking for an improvement rather than just cutting your losses? Basically, Virgo, this is about you learning how to be more discriminating with your self-worth, where you feel empowered but you also feel humbled, where you can rightfully say to yourself that, for example, you find a way to earn money where you feel like you're valued, you feel like you're a respected employee. I mean, sure, yes, you might not be the type of Virgo who's concerned with achieving great power or leadership or so much financial success in that way, but for you to feel like your services are being valued and they're being appreciated, that just might be really important to you. But at the same time, try not to become so invested in your services, meaning so much to your own self-worth, that you can then also start to pick at all those little things that exist then. So for example, maybe you start picking at, oh, this employee said this to me, or what was that supposed to mean? And you get all in your head about what the employee said, or what your manager said, what your boss said to you, and then you start to reflect on that, and then you feel underappreciated, or you feel like, oh, I'm not worthy then, I made that mistake, or they criticized me for this, or they picked on me for this, and you can get into these kind of mindsets. So it's trying not to become so invested in your work becoming your self-worth. Now, when it does come to your self-worth, Virgo, you might perform different rituals or routines that can really help you feel like you're on track. So for example, maybe if you don't have that certain bath that you have every night that you're used to having, you can get agitated, you can get annoyed. I missed out on my bath, oh no, that upsets me. or maybe you forget to take your tablet or take your medication or take that particular food item or have that cup of coffee that you routinely have. Because you forget to, then you start complaining about it. You keep complaining about it. Or maybe there's certain times that just clash throughout the day, throughout your day, that you didn't realize. And so you might have this mental breakdown. So basically, you might try to use every minute of the day to your benefit or to its full use or capacity. And so when things don't go according to plan through that full capacity, you might get a bit frustrated that it didn't or it doesn't. Yes, Virgo, you are a mutable sign, but when things in the outside world, within your material world, they don't match up with what is going on within your own constructive mind, you might get a little bit upset. You may have the tendency, like I said, overthinking the situation. And so, yeah, that can lead you into just more overthinking and then just more digging and digging and digging into the situation. But yeah, just important for you to really just become aware of your own tendency to poke at the material world when it's not matching up to your own expectations. So when it does come to your self-worth, of course, just be careful not to base your self-worth so completely upon how much you ultimately can perform throughout the day. If it leads you to down a path where you beat yourself up because you didn't, then you're not being very nice to yourself. Yes, you can maybe come from more of a motivational place, pepping yourself up, encouraging yourself for the next day of, oh yes, okay, right, tomorrow then I'm going to do it. But that dialogue is very different to, oh, why did I not do that? I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and you just dwell on it, you complain about it, and you get all upset about it. But you know what? Maybe it is that you're the type of Virgo who should really learn to lay off others that you think are lazy or unmotivated by being of service within the material world. So, for example, you might be the type of Virgo who is intolerant and shows little empathy, little mercy towards entitled or overly lazy and bum types of people who just sit on their asses all day whilst they claim benefits from the government. So yeah, just really learning to try and not get yourself into a frenzy where you're focused too much on what everybody else is doing and how they must change their lifestyle. So it's more just trying to focus on what you're doing, focusing on the healthy changes that you wish to see or that you wish to create for yourself. And by doing so, you will also be able to help other people because you'll also then be leading by example too. This could even be where you lead by example when it comes to maybe a friend comes to you and says, I'm in a really bad situation, or you feel like your friend is in a bad situation, maybe they're in a toxic relationship. Well, a way for you to lead by example with that, Virgo, is by you addressing your own relationships. So looking at the relationships that you have in your life. So what is the quality of the people in your life? What is the quality of the relationships that you have? And is it that maybe you can share your own experiences with that friend where you tell them about someone that you've met that actually treats you really well, so you can show that to them, but at the same time not demanding or pushing on that person to make them see, make them realize, but just sharing from a much more sympathetic way. Now, yes, also providing your hard truths if you got to provide the hard truths like I was saying earlier, but also just trying not to come from a place of being overly critical, overly judgmental. Basically, Virgo, this is about you learning to let go of control a little bit, where you take the time to reflect on things away from all the hustle and the bustle, because I know how you Virgos, you like to keep busy, you like to keep yourselves rather busy. However, it's also important, Virgo, that you see that rest, okay, so getting some rest, that is something that can truly enrich your life, and rest is something that can help bring a lot of balance and stability to your life. Now, you also might be slightly sensitive when it comes to your self-worth, Virgo. So you might be the type of Virgo who has had an eating disorder before. Maybe you've had a phobia towards certain foods or situations, or maybe you've obsessed over your fitness because you don't want to see yourself in a certain body shape that you had before, so you're going to do everything within your power and control not to go down that road again. Or maybe you wish to use fitness as a way to be of service, as a way to help others. You may wish to use nutrition and diet as a way to help others. But the thing to keep in mind here, Virgo, is that if you do enter into this sort of field, this area, or this way to earn money for yourself, please just be aware of the advice that you're giving, okay? It's just really important here for you to be aware of the motivations and the intentions that you have, but also to make sure that you're coming from a much more analytical, intellectual place rather than from a super hypersensitive, critical, personal, pushy place where you sort of give advice based on the past experiences that you've had, but you're doing it in a way where you're pushing on others to fix them and mold them because of what you've been through. So to come from a much more intellectual place, okay, where you come from a place where you've got a lot of knowledge and you've done plenty of research, you've taken a class or you've studied a certain course, you've basically just educated yourself on the whole situation, and you're coming from that place to really help benefit that person as an individual for the results that they want and the support that they need, rather than from your own sort of personal sensitivities. Yes, using your own experiences can be great when it comes to helping other people, but it's just important that you learn how to just realize that others are going through their own experiences, and that what works for one person might not work for other people. Alright then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes the self-worth of Venus in Virgo / Virgo ruling the second house within astrology. Now, if you do happen to have any of these placements, I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions upon today's video, because there's really not a lot of information that exists out there when it comes to self-worth in astrology, so any advice, any tips, any insights would be really appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and of course if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then go right ahead and click the subscribe button. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!